I keep hearing about these social media real estate coaches and things like that. The buyer's agent showing feedback is detrimental to the buyers. And apparently there's some small lawsuits that are happening. Basically, buyers are suing their own agents because they shared more information than necessary and hurt their negotiation position. I'll talk about that. I'll touch on that and what I think is the right thing in the current market. Hey, welcome back to Shawn Realty Podcast. This is Shawn, the realtor guy from Portland, Oregon. So I keep seeing these posts, things like, there's a lot of lawsuits and things like that. So I basically searched and there's no big lawsuits, at least that I can find, civil case type of situation. I haven't seen that yet. So maybe some of these influencers, either they're seeing in their market or making things up as like maybe cautionary tale type of thing, but I'm not sure. But I'll definitely point out some of the things that what I think. Now, what they're arguing first is that when you share too much, buyers love the property. It basically breaches the confidentiality, fiduciary duty, and like weakening the home buyer's negotiation position when they make an offer, which means the seller and seller's agents can leverage that information and get better offer. And that's what they're claiming. But I think it is walking the fine sort of like a balanced line over there, because I've certainly had the situation when I was representing sellers, certain buyers agents will share certain things. They just gave me the cue. They love that. They gotta get the house. They'll do bend backward to buy the house. When the buyer's agent tells me that, not intentionally, I'm gonna use that information for my client who is a seller at the time. And I'm gonna, and vice versa. I've gotten a home where agent told me such thing where my buyer actually got better deal because of that information. So it is a skill in my opinion. That's why I think, you will hear a lot of times who you work with when it comes to real estate agent really can matter. One thing I tell my home buyers is this: whenever you walk into an open house, if you found the house you love, don't show that to the listing agent. Because once you show how much you love the house, me as a buyer's agent, when I write an offer, my negotiation chips are all gone. I can't really negotiate anything for you. So I warn them when I start working with them. But sometimes I guess it can happen. So when it happens between the real estate agents, one side or the other side can actually benefit from it. And me as a real estate agent, when I represent the sellers, I'm waiting for that cue, whether at the open house or from an agent, and I mean there's a lot of sort of like psychological negotiation skills that it's like deployed at this point. It is what it is. I mean, because I'm representing seller or I'm representing buyer, I want to get the best deal for my client, right? So I'm going to use all my knowledge, all my negotiations, all my communication skill, all my pausing, letting the other side talk more. I mean, all these things, why not? That's why I get paid the big bucks. And, there's nothing wrong with that, right? What I think needs to change into is this. I don't think, let's face it, the feedbacks actually do benefit sellers and sellers agents. And a lot of times, price adjustment, if the house is too cold, that's a great feedback, right? If the house is too dirty, that's good feedback. You can clean it. If the house is sitting on the busy road, there's nothing we can do about that. That's not such a good feedback. But at least we know there, 90% of the home buyers are not making an offer because of location. But in the future, going forward with this sort of like to prevent this kind of lawsuits, in my opinion, the best way for the listing agent to ask feedback is just ask the buyer's agent. Hey, as a buyer's agent, what do you think about the price? As a buyer's agent, did you like the house? as a buyer's agent, do you see any improvements that we can make on the listing? That way, at least the buyer's agent can just give their own feedback, which then puts a little guard between the buyer's agent's client's opinion versus buyer's agent's opinion. And I think that's fair. I think that's valid sort of way to ask for feedback, in my opinion. So, like I said, I haven't seen any like lawsuits personally or anything that is publicly announced or anything like that. So I don't know where they're getting the information, but it is a good point. It is kind of antiquated to get exactly what buyers are feeling, just because buyers can actually change their mind. And after they say, oh, I hate the house, but then like 10 days later, I'm like, that's the only house that's available. I guess I'll have to buy it. Then what? One last thing I actually forgot to mention is that when I mentioned it's walking the fine balance, it means that if your buyer is the only buyer who's going to make an offer, I think making it seem like, hey, they like the house, but there's some other options, but you're the number one house right now, that approach is okay. But when it comes to like multiple offer situation, you want to actually tell them how much buyers love the house. So it is very walking the fine balance there, you know. Because if I'm representing seller, I think the buyer's willingness to buy this house, buyer's desire to buy this house is way more important than $5,000 higher on the offer price. Because they can make $50,000 more, but if the buyer's motivation is kind of lukewarm, I would probably recommend my seller to reject that offer and accept a lower price offer who is dying to buy the house. So in that case, if the buyer's agent, whoever the buyer's agent in a multiple offer situation says, hey Shawn, my buyers is just, they're gonna change their next, they're gonna name their next child to seller's name. I'm not saying exactly that, but that buyer is more serious buyer to my seller. So that has a lot more weight. Do you see what I'm saying? But if we're not getting a multiple offers, you know, if buyer's agent said buyers love that house and they're the only offer, then that's awesome for my seller, right? So do you see where I'm going? So that's one thing I wanted to point out. To wrap this up, I think it needs to be, we, you know, real estate professional realtors, between us, we just need to ask between the agent, hey, you as a buyer's agent, what did you think? If you were to list this house, what would you do differently? Price, condition, or anything that I could make changes to improve this listing's marketability? I think that's a fair question. And I think I'll be happy to help the other agents with that kind of, you know, constructive feedback, completely guarding and shielding from my clients' actual feedback, who may come back and make an offer. So I hope that makes sense. It does matter when it comes to who is going to negotiate your pricing terms and things like that in real estate deals. Yeah, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button and share with your uncle who needs to buy some house or something. Yeah, take care.